Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to the spring tour of Little Walter's Flower Farm. We have some new things here, like this lovely little bird bath. We've got a little solar fountain going on in there. And lots of stuff is growing. And we've been doing bouquets for about 2 months now. We have our CSA going, bouquet club. We have the flower stand up. And we got lots of lovely things growing in all of our gardens. Mostly spring stuff right now, and all the annuals are up and planted and ready to go, and we'll shortly be seeding some more things for a continued harvest throughout the summer. Up here's our perennial bed. So this has yarrow, orchidea, orangium. It has feverfew, different types of yarrow. This one is the one that's blooming right now, which is the berries one, which goes very nicely with the Canterbury bells. This was daffodils here. Little bird bath, love it. Lots of feverfew, some new lavender I put in. Gladiolas that come back every year, and sometimes I think they've moved around. Not sure how that's possibly happened. We got a nice new lawn sign this year, and behind back here and mirroring on either side is Status. It's a white one, and then there's a blue one over there. Both of those overwintered. I tested that out and it worked quite well. We have new plant. I think this is called dark chocolate. It's very purpley. It's Baptisia. We're going to try that out. It is a perennial, and I'm hoping that that will do well up here in this garden. We have the arch flanked by the gladiolas as usual. I already cut some lavender, which is drying from this plant back here. There's been a lot of cutting of the yarrow. We have Lisianthus, both mirrored on both sides of this garden. I did have a dahlia that I had put here temporarily in a pot. It was phlox, but there was an extremely bad issue with phlox bugs, so I took it out and I was like, nope, no more. It looks like something has seeded itself in this bed that I'm noticing while I'm here. It's probably phlox. So just a little quick take out. Oh, I stepped in a little ditch. This is Corsican gourd, and we have that mirrored on both sides as well. That plant's a little bit bigger than this one. I mean, they all grow differently, I've learned. I don't think anything has set a gourd yet, but they are gaining speed. I've popped Lisianthus in a variety of places. I grew all of the Lisianthus this year from seed myself, and I'm quite proud of that. I have some Sweet William, another succession of Sweet William, popped in some places, some cut flower marigolds, and then I have this tomato that I popped in. I grew a lot of tomatoes this year. I think that's a Gomphrena in there. Maybe that's a Gomphrena too. And I'm going to see if I can use kind of the string method, which we're using a lot this year, to kind of make this trellis up the arch, which I think will look pretty cool if I can get it to do that, and just make sure that it's pruned well. Let's see. We have some lavender that's planted back here amongst the bird bath. Not too much is new back here. A dahlia here that is replacing, there was phlox. Perennial phlox there, covered in phlox bugs. I just took that out because I don't have time to deal with phlox bugs that are just going to kill the plant. We have amaranth planted tightly together so that I can get more manageable stems. I think this is called Opio. We're going to move this over like that while we're here, because I don't want it attaching to the amaranth. It's another Corsican like I mentioned. I also always put a marigold. I probably get marigolds everywhere I can, just for pest management and such. More Lisianthus over here. This is a weed. About 8 of these Lisianthus actually overwintered. And that was a self-seeded snapdragon. I didn't even grow snapdragons here last year. Snapdragons were all in this bed. So somehow seed got over there. Don't know. But as you can see, it worked out well. This bed, this front section is newer. It's a little bit closer to the road. We still have a fair amount of space. This is Scabiosa. This is, I think, something like that. I need to get better at remembering the types. There's so many different types of Scabiosa. And then these are like berries and wines and just a variety of different colors back here, if I remember correctly. And then we have a whole bunch of status growing in here. I had a little bit of an issue with some Bermuda grass popping up in this bed. Not sure why. It's not coming up in any other bed, and everything is pretty tight planted, so I don't know. But we're starting to get some flowering happening, so that's exciting. Over here we have our larkspur, which I'm growing just for cutting. It is very tall. It is taller than me. No, it's as tall as I am. I'm 5'7". And then we have Honesty, Lunaria, money plant, whatever you want to call it. I've been using this a lot in bouquets as a textured filler, and people find it really, really cool. They got little seed pods inside of there. I also want to use this for drying as well, but the larkspur is toxic to humans and friendly furry creatures, so I am not going to put that in bouquets. Yeah, so I'm not going to put that in bouquets, but I am going to keep it for drying because it holds its color very, very well. And this was actually a seed that was gifted to me from a neighbor, so I figured why not. This bed is kind of a hodgepodge. There is some Gumfrina, and then it also has some Rudbeckia, sunflowers, super tall. These ones are super, super tall. These were transplants back in March or April, beginning of April, end of March, something like that. These were seeded at the end of March. So coming up themselves. These are now starting to bloom, so I've been cutting them every time. I think this one's actually ready to be cut. Yep. Every time they get to cucumber beetles, I just saw one. Every time they start opening up their flowers inside. Ooh. Also, we have a mini love watermelon. And I have a little trellis here. I'm just trying that out. I am co-growing with a neighbor. She's like, can you grow stuff? You can use my yard. So I have been doing that, and we have a whole bunch of these growing in a bed. Flower stand is out. We are out of bouquets though. That sign's new. But this is the area that I've been using, and we're using different like trellising methods and stuff like that. Potatoes, tomatoes, onions, peppers, all that. I grew a lot of dwarf peppers this year, so I have them all aligned on this little pot section that I made, since I have lots of terracotta pots. So I was like, why not? Let's do it. And some of them, I think the jalapenos are called potapino, and Fresh Bites is the not hot pepper. Some of them I think are actually ready to go. This big 4x12 bed has a variety of things in it. So there's different types of celosia. Some of it's floret celosia that I had. Some of it's celosia that I had from last year from my own seed that I saved. We have some asters. These are zinnias, and specifically the zinnias from the floret seeds. So we have alpenglow, precious metals, and I think there's one more, but I can't remember what it is. Oh, I thought this was like worm poop. It's just dirt that got kicked up. I need to come through again and do another layer of straw. These squirrels, I tell you, they are a mess. I use these, I guess, what are they, little support things for the zinnias to actually go through. All the zinnias have, this one hasn't actually. Oh no, it have been topped, pinched, so that they will branch. But I use these to help support the zinnias. I don't really do any of like the plastic support or like netting and things like that. Sometimes I'll corral, so I might come through and have more of these long 9-gauge wires around the edges. But for the most part, I don't really need to do too much for the zinnias. There are some Benary's giants as well, which I think is this row. And I think that's specifically a red color. There's some cress in here, and we have green dragon and emerald beets, I think, are the ones that are in here. Marigolds in this row, and there are marigolds in that row. We have the orange and yellow and white, and these are cut flower, like tall growing marigolds. And then celosia. So celosia is on either side. This is kind of just like a hodgepodge of things, kind of growing stuff, interplanting things that will also help support the other stuff. Marigolds are pretty sturdy and don't need much support, so they'll also help the zinnias. And celosia is super, super sturdy as well, and it does really well at the ends of beds because it can get quite large, and all of these have been pinched as well. Actually, I'm going to come over to this. I think I popped a lisianthus in there because I had an extra one and I saw space. I don't need this diseased situation. I don't know if it's actually diseased, but no thank you. So we're going to take that off. Everything's just looking pretty good, but I definitely want to get some more straw down. We've had a lot of rain in May, and it got really hot in April, and it's been fairly hot in May, but it's also gotten chilly at points, so it's been a very interesting spring. This is the bed of snapdragons that were overwintered. They're doing quite well. This area over here on the end, 3 rows, is stuff that I planted early spring, and then the 6 rows this way were stuff that were overwintered. So they were the Costa and Chantilly for early spring, and then also for overwintering, and they've been producing wonderfully. I cut them when I notice that a few of the buds are swelling, so that I don't have any issues with thrips or aphids or some of the other bugs that are currently annoying and really bad right now. Okay. This is a new look. All right. Wow. Interesting. And then sometimes the straw that I have puts off a seed that I just miss, which is okay. I'll use that in a bouquet. I've been doing a lot of tomatoes this year, so we have them peppered all over the place in different ways. So this is in one of these big obelisks. I think it's the Titan obelisk. I need to come through and do a little bit of a prune because some of these leaves are touching the ground and I don't want them to, but using the string method here too, just to provide a little bit more support. These are really good obelisks, but sometimes in its early stages it needs a little bit more support, so I just have a little string to help it out. just a little. We got a new bed for the blueberries this year. We have raised them higher out of the ground. Oddly, I didn't think that we did, but we have a pH issue, so we have to use soil acidifier for our blueberries, and sometimes chelated iron. So we need to come through and do this one, but we lost a blueberry bush this year. We have a new one, which is a Berkeley back there. This one's doing really good, and the one back there is doing really good. But I think they're getting too wet. They were just not doing well, too close to native soil. So we raised them up. They have lots of really good compost. And they're doing actually, that one has definitely started doing a lot better. And this one in the front too. Over here, we have our Canterbury bells, which have just exploded. It took a while. Like, they were sitting in I'm ready. My buds are here. I'm ready to go. And I knew as soon as they opened, they were all going to start busting out with flowers. And they have. And I have buckets and buckets ready for bouquets for this week. So if you need a bouquet, I got you. Up front, we have purple and pink. And then in the back gardens, there is lavender. This purple is I think my fave, but the combination of all of them together is stunning. Let's see, back here we have cut flower basil. So my favorite is cardinal basil, but I also do cinnamon basil for cut flowers. Those two are my preferred, but my favorite is cardinal. Cardinal takes a little bit longer for it to get to its flower stage, but these will all go until they flower and be used in bouquets. And then gomphrena is all in the front. I need to get another wire to provide some support for when it's overflowing. Down here, was Cresspedia. Plants puttered out, so I just added in some extra gomphrena that I had, and somehow a marigold seeded there. Don't know how that happened. I decided to do sweet peas this year, and they've been in the ground since February. They're doing really great. They're strong, they're sturdy, but they haven't flowered. I feel like they should have flowered 13 different times by now, but I think this weather is just so stinking confusing. But it provides really nice backdrop for the house. But I like, because our steps are right here into the house, I like having things that smell near the steps. And so early spring, it's hyacinths that are here, and they're down here. And then I'll talk about over there in a sec. Also have snap peas, which have now bent over. They were not bent this morning, but I wonder if that's because someone was taking snap peas off today when they came home. That was not me, so you can guess who that would be. And then I have actually some tomatoes interplanted in here because tomatoes do well with snap peas, because peas provide nitrogen-fixing properties for the soil. And these are some determinant tomatoes. Oh, yeah, have a tom. Excellent. They're looking okay. I've been having issues with aphids on my tomatoes. The aphids have been really, really bad this year. And this is another determinate style. Here as well, since this is such a short trellis, they do good up here. This is the dahlia that I just potted up. I think it was a free dahlia from something, so I was like, let me pot this up. So I did. I've had to plant and replant strawflower multiple times because they just keep getting dug up by creatures. So I don't know. I'm gonna do another round of strawflower. I've done 2. The best strawflower was when I overwintered it 2 years ago for cut flowers. So I think I need to go back to doing that. And then I threw in Lysianthus here, some extras that I had, and this was some gladiola that I had moved last year. This is self-seeded phlox, which has not been attacked by the phlox bugs. I think they were far enough away from the front further up front. But I've seen some of the phlox bugs liking the annual phlox as well. But like I said, it's self-seeded, so I just left it because it just provides a lovely little backdrop, and I like that the gladiolas kind of provide a wall for here. This is a new fountain this year. Is it a grasshopper in the... oh, Lord. Well, it's the same fountain that we always have. It's the Hydra Smart Fountain, but I got a little attachment for a little trickly noise effect instead of it spraying up in the air. Over here we have Nigella, and this is the Nigella that my niece Sade helped me sow, which was really just Sade throwing seeds. And I found some Nigella growing over here too, so somehow it got over there. But it's a little thicker than I would have done, but it's okay because it works out and it gets thinned out as I use the flowers. I'm not too concerned. This bed over here, I actually, if you follow us on Instagram, you saw that I reworked this wall. So now I actually have more room here to walk, and I just tightened it up, buttoned it up. It was a little much, but it looks so much better. And I also have a new similar fountain as over there. It's just a little frog that spits out some water. 2 dwarf tomato plants. I was just looking for a spot to put them, and this is where they went. And we'll see how they do. This is bearded iris. It smells delicious, but it came and went within like a 1-week period, so very, very quickly. This area over here, still working on like what I really want it to look like, but pop some things in, knowing that I can move them at if I need to. We have a rose, and this is Olivia Rose Austin, something like that. Yes, which actually has rosebuds on it right now. So that's fun. We have a hydrangea that I put in, and I think it's Skyview. Let's go. I left the tag. Oh gosh. Oh, it's Let's Dance Skyview. So we'll see. It got a little crusty when it was first put in because it got really, really hot in April. It was like 90 degrees. But it gets a fair amount of shade. It gets afternoon sun. So we're going to see how it does. There's other people that have their stuff growing in their front yards, and their hydrangeas are doing just well. So just fine. So we'll see. I popped in a little bit of feverfew because I just had some in these spaces here, but they're easily moved. It's just kind of like fill it up a little, and a little bit of lavender. There's a baptisia back here that I got for free because I had to wait for the Veronica was late, and a sedum from the place I was getting it at, and so they sent me that for free. And I think it's like what is it? Lunar Eclipse baptisia. And then this is echinacea and a rudbeckia, which I think is the rudbeckia that is the state. Rudbeckia is the black-eyed Susan's the state flower of Maryland, but I think that's the specific variety that is particularly referred to as the state flower. And then rosemary, which does very well here. So if none of this works out, I'm going to make this a rosemary garden because it does really, really well. But that is all of the front garden. It looks really good. I'm quite happy with it. And then let's go to the back. So we have a blueberry back here that's doing quite well. Need to come in and treat that. There's some peonies that I had moved, and I popped over here, and I just popped some Sweet William that I had extra of in here just because. And the Sweet William that was overwintered did really, really well. So I just had some of that because these peonies are in their first year, I want to say. So they're not going to be big enough to really do much. and bother the sweet William. And then this is where we have the Veronica, and we have different types of Veronica growing here, all sorts of different colors. I've started using the blue Skywalker, and then this one is Purplicious, which is just starting to flower. There's a white, but as they flower, I'm cutting just so that it starts branching. I don't know why we will use this too much this year, but there's some pretty nice stems on it. So this is kind of berry alley. We have our June bearing strawberries in here, which I need to come through and do a picking for this evening. But we got some nice strawberries going on, and I collect all these and keep them in the freezer and use it to make ice cream in the summer, and a little bit for fresh eating. But I would like another bed of June bearing. Covering is very important for us. And also I've noticed the height is also helpful. So this is it's about 3 feet, 2.5 feet high off the ground. Also helps with ants, which tend to be the ones that eat our strawberries in all of my other beds. The blackberries are so bushed out, and they're starting to have flowers. So that means we will be getting berries probably in the next month, beginning of July, end of June. But July is typically when we get them. Definitely been working on staking and pruning and really figuring out how these friends fit into our kind of trellising system. We live in a neighborhood, so we try to make sure that it doesn't encroach into our neighbor's yard. So this is right along the fence line. In the back, remember last year we had loofah that went all the way down and around the deck. We're hoping to try to make that happen again. There are 2 loofah plants in here. I'm not sure which one will live, if they both will live, or what they're going to do. One seems to be doing better than the other right now. Apparently there's a weed there. I'm going to get that. And there's also some strawberries in here, but they're very tiny. And Lillian, or can you see the ant that's in there? Yes. Here it is. I think you can see it. It's a spot. That's the issue that we have, is the ants. So we do have some fruit or loofahs on here, but they're not pollinated. I don't think any of them have been pollinated yet. But we will see. It'll take off. It's still May. But we've been growing them for quite some time. Hostas all along here, mixed with some yarrow. It's funny because some yarrow already has blooms in the front, and some, particularly back here, doesn't have any blooms, and sometimes won't bloom. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Rudbeckia is all along here, like last year. This is one that had overwintered, but these are all new. Some of them have gotten chomped on from a variety of things, but they all look like they're doing okay. And I'm excited to see them come out and join the party eventually. I have some mums here as well. None of these have started to flower. This is thyme. I just come in and I pick the flowers off of here. And then my hand smells like thyme, but it's delicious, so fine with me. This is just our little herby place. Oh, I forgot to show back here. We have these pots along the deck. You'll see like that. And these have the dwarf peppers in them. And then this is Cherry Falls tomato, and it's channel planted, so this isn't super deep, right? So you normally plant tomatoes really deep. Well, this is channel, so laid down sideways, and so that's why it's now turning itself up, as tomatoes do. Up there, as per usual, are dwarf tomatoes. It's either Red Robin, I think it's Red Robin that's up there, but Tomato Hat and Red Robin are the ones that I typically do. These are radishes that have started to flower, but I've just left them here because I didn't eat them, and they didn't really bulb up very well, so I just left them. And all of these baskets this year, instead of having Super Tunia Bubblegum Vista, have tomatoes in them. And this is another Cherry Falls. We have lavender down here. We have status down here. Some mums have started to come out. This yarrow is starting to see a flower like right in there. More peppers, and then also I did two dwarf peppers in this hanging basket. This is all status that is flowering right now in here that was actually left in the ground from last year. So it overwintered. Wow. I'm quite impressed. This is new status here. Gladiolas, these were never planted here. Don't know where they came from, but they're here. I thought this, eucalyptus died. It did not. All the eucalyptus that I grew and was doing really, really well puttered out. Probably because it went hot and cold. It was wild. So, whoops. Yeah, this is kind of a hodgepodge right now of status. There's Rudbeckia thrown in here. I tied together daffodils because their foliage just flops everywhere until it dies back. And it gets really annoying amongst the other things. So I need to I'm still figuring out this area. But there's a peony back there, and it is doing amazing from when I transplanted it from the other side of the house. So I think this area here, I'm going to take out the status because sometimes that can get a little heavy and flop forward. I think what I might do is focus on peonies here and see how that goes. There's a giant hosta that's back here that needs to be separated and split. So, and then this yarrow that never blooms. I don't know why. So I have some space to throw in some peonies, and I'm excited about it because I got my first peony this year, and wow, it was great. Violas, 3 of them overwintered, and then I popped more of them in this year that I grew from seed, and they look really good. I need to come in and trim back. You'll see daffodil